I opened the dashboard at 3:07 a.m., and the number staring back at me didn't make sense. $3,842.17. Not in my bank account, not in any account I owned. It was sitting in a temporary wallet I didn't remember creating, tied to an email I hadn't used in years. And that's when I realized I had already broken the rules of the system before I even started it. The instructions had been very clear. Day 1, create a clean slate. New email, new identity. No emotional ties, no past data. But I hadn't listened. I thought it wouldn't matter. I was wrong. What happened next made no sense. Because when I clicked into the transaction history, every single entry was labeled the same way. Triggered. No sender, no platform, no explanation. Just triggered. And the timestamps? They matched moments I hadn't even noticed were important. A random text I ignored. A post I almost deleted. A comment I typed, then erased. That's when it hit me. This wasn't a money system. It was watching behavior. And somehow rewarding it. I should have stopped there, but I didn't, because 7 days earlier, none of this existed. 7 days earlier, I was broke, burned out, and scrolling through the same recycled advice everyone pretends is life-changing. Wake up early, work harder, stay consistent. I had done all of it, and nothing changed. So when I saw the post, I almost ignored it. No branding, no followers. Just a blank profile and a single sentence. This system only works if you're willing to lose control. That line stayed with me longer than it should have. I didn't know it yet, but that sentence was the hook, and I had already swallowed it. The instructions came 10 minutes after I messaged the account. No greeting, no explanation, just a file. 7 days, 7 rules, and 1 warning at the bottom. If you break the sequence, the system resets you. I remember staring at that line longer than anything else. Resets you, not resets progress, not resets data. Resets you. I laughed it off. At that point, it just felt like another gimmick, another overhyped framework dressed up as something deeper than it really was. But I saved the file anyway. That was my first mistake. Day 1 started simple. Too simple. Remove all passive input for 24 hours. No music, no scrolling, no background noise, no conversations that didn't serve a purpose. Just silence. I thought it would be easy. It wasn't. By hour 3, I was reaching for my phone without thinking, opening apps I wasn't allowed to use, starting videos, then stopping them halfway through. By hour 6, something strange happened. I started noticing things I usually ignored. The hum of the fridge, the way the light shifted across the wall, the exact moment my mind tried to distract me and failed. And then, at 9:42 p.m., my phone buzzed. No notification, just a vibration. When I opened it, there was a message. First trigger detected. That's it. No context, no sender. My chest tightened because I hadn't done anything. Or at least, I didn't think I had. But then I remembered. At 9:41, I almost opened Instagram. Almost. That's when I realized the system wasn't tracking actions. It was tracking intent. I didn't sleep much that night. Day 2 made it worse. Act before thought. That was the rule. For 24 hours, I had to make every decision in under 3 seconds. No overthinking, no second guessing. If I hesitated, I failed. It sounded stupid, reckless, dangerous even. But I followed it anyway, because part of me was curious now, and part of me didn't want to admit I was already pulled in. The first few hours were chaotic, replying to messages instantly, making decisions without filtering them, saying things I would normally hold back. And then, something shifted. Conversations felt sharper, cleaner. People reacted differently. By the afternoon, I noticed something I couldn't explain. Opportunities started appearing. A random call turned into a freelance offer. A message I almost ignored turned into a paid gig. It didn't feel like luck. It felt orchestrated. And at 6:13 p.m., my phone buzzed again. Second trigger confirmed. I checked the wallet. $217 added. No source, no explanation. Just there. That's when I should have stopped, because this wasn't normal anymore. But I didn't, because now it was working. Day 3 was where things started to break. Cut 1 dependency. I just allowed things to happen. And somehow, that was more powerful. I should have stopped there, but I didn't, because now I was too deep. Day 6 was where it turned dark. Remove 1 person. That was the rule. No explanation, no conditions, just remove. I stared at that line for a long time, because this wasn't like the others. This wasn't behavior. This was people. And immediately, someone came to mind. Not the worst person in my life, not the most toxic, but the one who drained me slowly, consistently. The one I tolerated. The one I made excuses for. I didn't want to do it, but the system didn't leave room for negotiation, so I did it. I cut them off, clean. No explanation, no closure, just silence. And the aftermath? Heavier than anything before. Guilt, doubt, second-guessing everything. Because this wasn't an app I deleted. This was a person, and I didn't know if I made the right call. That's when the message came. Instantly. Connection terminated. The wallet jumped again. $5,780. That number didn't feel real. None of this did. Because at that point, I wasn't just following a system. I was changing my life in ways I couldn't reverse. And I didn't know who was on the other side of this. That's when I checked the file again, for the first time since day 1. And that's when I saw it. Something that wasn't there before. A final section, locked. Day 7 unlocks truth. That's when I realized everything up to this point was just preparation, and whatever day 7 was, it was the real test. Day 7 started at 3 a.m., not because I woke up, because my phone buzzed, hard, 3 times, back to back. I opened it. The file was unlocked. 1 line, break the system. I froze, because for 7 days, I had followed everything exactly, every rule, every instruction, and now it was telling me to do the opposite. That's when I realized this wasn't about control, it was about dependence. The system wasn't testing discipline, it was building it, so we could see if I would give it up. I didn't know it yet, but this was the real trap. If I followed the rule, I would prove I was still following. If I broke it, I would prove I understood. My chest tightened, because suddenly the money didn't matter, the progress didn't matter. The only thing that mattered was this decision and what it said about me. I looked at the wallet one last time. $12,847.50. 7 days. That number could change everything. Or nothing. I hovered over the dashboard. 1 click could continue the system. 1 click could shut it down. That's when I realized, for the first time in 7 days, there was no instruction, no push, no pressure, just choice. So I did the one thing the system couldn't predict. I closed it, deleted the file, logged out, and walked away. No confirmation, no reward, no message, just silence. Real silence. The kind I hadn't felt since before this started. And for a moment, I thought I made a mistake, until 10 minutes later, my phone buzzed. One last time. Different tone, different notification. System complete. I opened the wallet. $0. Everything was gone. Every dollar, every trigger, every trace. Just empty.
And that's when I realized the truth. The system was never paying me, it was showing me what I respond to, what I chase, what I tolerate, what I'm willing to trade for control. The money, it was bait. The real reward was awareness. And I almost sold that for numbers on a screen. So here's the question. Have you ever followed something so blindly you didn't realize it was changing you? Comment below. And if you want more stories like this, subscribe, because some systems don't just test you, they rewrite you.
Not reduce, not limit, cut. Completely. And it had to be something I relied on daily. I didn't know what to choose until I realized there was only one thing I wasn't willing to lose. So I picked that, and I deleted it. No backup, no warning, just gone. The silence that followed felt heavier than day one, different, like something had shifted internally, like I had removed a piece of myself I didn't fully understand. And then the side effects started. I became irritable, restless, sharp with people for no reason. It felt like withdrawal, but from what? At 11:58 p.m., the message came. Dependency severed. The wallet jumped again. $903.45. That's when I realized, the harder the sacrifice, the bigger the reward. But I was wrong, because day 4 didn't reward anything. It exposed everything. And I wasn't ready for it. Good, because this is where everything flips. Day 4 didn't start with a rule. It started with a question. Who are you when no one is watching? That was it. No instructions, no time limit, just that one line sitting in the file like it had been waiting for me. At first, I thought it was a break, a pause in the system, something reflective. I was wrong, because the moment I stood up from my chair, my phone buzzed. Observation mode active. That's when my stomach dropped. Observation, not action, not progress. Observation. I didn't know it yet, but this was the day the system stopped reacting to me and started studying me. The first few hours felt normal. Too normal. I made coffee, checked emails, took a call, but there was this pressure, like I was being watched from just outside my field of vision. Not physically, mentally. Every decision felt heavier. Every action felt like it mattered more than it should. And then I caught myself. I smiled at a message I didn't find funny. I agreed to something I didn't want to do. I said, yeah, no problem, when it absolutely was a problem. And that's when I realized. I wasn't being observed for what I did. I was being observed for what I pretended to be. That hit harder than anything so far, because suddenly I could see it. All the small lies, all the adjustments, all the ways I shaped myself depending on who I was talking to. I should have stopped there, closed the file, walked away. But I didn't, because I needed to know how deep this went. By the afternoon, I stopped filtering, not as a rule, but because I couldn't ignore it anymore. I said what I meant. I declined things I didn't want. I stopped performing. And the reactions? Immediate. Confusion, silence, tension. One person hung up on me mid-call. Another left me on red after I pushed back. It felt like I was breaking something invisible. And then my phone buzzed. Mask removed. No reward, no money, just that. That's when I realized. Not every day was designed to give. Some days were designed to take. And day 4 took a lot. By the time night hit, I felt exposed, stripped down to something raw, uncomfortable but real. And for the first time, I didn't check the wallet, because something told me this wasn't about money anymore. That was my second mistake. Day 5 came in quietly, too quietly. Say nothing unnecessary. That was the rule. At first, it sounded easy, just talk less. But the more I thought about it, the more I realized how much of what I say means nothing. Fillers, reactions, automatic responses. So I followed it, strictly. Only spoke when it mattered, only responded with intention. And something strange happened. People started revealing more. The less I spoke,
the more they filled the silence. Secrets, opinions, things they probably wouldn't have said otherwise. It was like removing my voice gave them permission to expose theirs. And then it escalated. A conversation I stayed quiet in turned into an argument between two other people. A call I barely spoke on revealed information I wasn't supposed to hear. And that's when it hit me. Silence isn't empty. It's leverage. At 8:27 p.m., my phone buzzed again. Leverage acquired. The wallet updated. $2,104.88. But this time, I didn't feel excited. I felt uneasy, because I didn't earn that.